In this episode, we're continuing our Obon weekend camping adventure, but things don't quite go as planned. We'll be moving to a new campsite and finding out what else the local area has to offer. Had a bit of an eventful night last night. Someone decided to leave still burning coal embers next to a dead tree, which was about 3 meters away from our tent. So as you can imagine, it started to burn. The inside of the tree was like smouldering like hot embers. It didn't go up in flames, but there was so much smoke, it was just like everywhere and everything stunk. 4 of the camp staff came down and were pouring water on it, kind of getting it slowly chipping away at the middle of the tree. It was a bit of a disaster, and in the end 3 fire trucks actually came down to put the smoke out and sort everything out. So I'm feeling a little bit worse for wear today because I didn't sleep that well, but I should be alright. So it's time to hit the roads and carry on the adventure. After packing up at Lake Matosu, we took a short 20-minute drive east to check out a local curiosity, Narusawa Ice Cave. The cave is actually one of a trio located in the local area, including Fugaku Wind Cave and Lake Saiko Bat Cave. All 3 of the caves reside in lava tubes created by a volcanic eruption at Mount Fuji a long time ago. As we approached, we were caught off guard by just how popular this place is. With the main road backed up for almost a mile, it took us roughly 1 hour just to make it to the car park. Then there was the frenzied free-for-all to find a parking space. Out of the car, you'll head for the welcome centre, purchase a ticket from the vending machine, then join the line and settle in for the wait to the main attraction. About halfway down, for safety reasons, you'll be required to grab a helmet, which you'll no doubt be ecstatic to know is still saturated with a stranger's sweat. This is what awesomeness looks like. You'll enter the cave via a set of stairs near the welcome centre, but due to the crowds, progress is fairly slow and felt more like I was queuing up for a ride at Disneyland. And just remember to watch your head on the way in. This is it, we're in the cave. I feel some of the sense of adventure is lost though when you're shuffling forward 3 steps every minute. But wow, this is very low. Helmet is already proving a good idea. Literally within the first 3 seconds of it entering this cave, I hit my head on a rock. And oh god. Wow, you're really crawling through these tight spaces. Okay, I'm stopped now. I'm paused in a crouched position. This is very uncomfortable. So we made it, we found the ice. It's not as much as I thought though. It's a bit dirty. It's bloody freezing down here though. Okay, looks like there's more ice. Oh god, here we go. The average temperature in the cave is around 3 degrees, which in the middle of summer is quite refreshing, although this means that the natural ice is a little less abundant and can only be seen here behind a wire fence. And that's it, that's all there is to the ice cave. But we still have to make a super steep ascent now to get out. But I didn't die, I'm still alive. The overall journey through the cave is a fairly short one. To exit, you'll have to ascend the same steep stairs you used to enter. The drastic shift in climate is also quite an odd experience, from a dry 3 degrees to a humid 35 degrees in roughly 10 seconds. It'll probably leave you feeling a little misty. So, you survived the ice cave. Was it worth the hour-long queue and the additional 30 minutes of queuing in the car to get into the parking lot? Probably not. It was cold, it was a very cold cave, lots of ice, but the ice appeared to have been placed there by someone. So there was like the last room you go through is like natural ice, but the rest of it looks like it's just been bought in blocks from Family Mart. So, you know, if you've got time, I'd say check it out. It only costs 350 yen per adult. It's a little bit cheaper for kids, maybe 200 yen. But yeah, if you've got time, check it out. I wouldn't make it a top priority in any trip. Now it was time to set off for Lake Tanuki, our next campsite and sleeping place for our last night of the trip. Lake Tanuki is not one of the famous Fuji 5 lakes, but still holds its own for an idyllic camping location. Lake Tanuki's campsite is a little different to the one found at Lake Matosu, with well-kept lawns to camp out on and abundant facilities to make your life easier. It feels like less of a Bear Grylls experience and more of a weekend trip away with your grandparents. You can rent bikes for a few hundred yen and take a couple of laps around the lake to enjoy it from every angle. There's also a small dock you can fish from, or if you're feeling a little more adventurous, you can rent a boat and fish out on the water. The lake also features one hell of a view of Mount Fuji. It's a particular favourite for photographers looking to snap that super rare natural phenomenon, the Fuji double diamond. When we arrived at the camp earlier in the day, the weather was clear and sunny, but with every passing hour it got cloudier and darker, until in the evening all hell broke loose in the form of an apocalypse-level thunderstorm. We rushed to take shelter in the safety of the cooking area, but it wasn't long until the whole campsite lost power and we were plunged into darkness. Bad morning, everybody. Last night was an absolute nightmare. We went out about 7 o'clock, went to the local grocery store, got some dinner, and we came back with all the good intentions of cooking our food. While we'd been out though, it actually started to rain quite heavily, and when we got back to the tent we discovered that the bottom half of our tent isn't actually that waterproof, so everything inside was pretty damp and even soaking wet to some degree. The bottom of our futon that was touching the ground sheet, that was just ruined. And all the clothes we had in there, or most of the bags were starting to get damp, everything was seeping into everything. So we thought, okay, it's just raining too heavily basically, it was just tipping it down. So we didn't have much of a choice. Until it stopped we couldn't do a lot. So we went to go cook some food in the cooking shelter area across the campsite. And on the way, because it was raining so much and everything was quite slippery, we dropped the gas cooker. And although it's made of solid metal and visible damage, there's only a small dent in the side, somehow it didn't work. So we got there, basically we couldn't cook all the food we just bought. We were very hungry, very wet, and we had nowhere to sleep. So basically we were left with three options. Option one was to sleep in the wet tent, which nobody wanted to do. Option two was to drive back to Tokyo that night, but we couldn't pack down the tent because it was raining so much and there was just so much water it was going to get all in the car. So we were left with option three, which was to actually sleep in the car, which is always fantastic, but surprisingly more comfortable than I expected, although not comfortable in the slightest. So I've only slept 5 hours tonight and there's still another half of this video to make, so hopefully I can keep the energy up. But for right now, we need to go and sort out that soggy mess of a tent. Not only was everything in the car now wet, but this video came dangerously close to never seeing the light of day. Being caught off guard by the rain the night before, we were fairly down in spirits, so we decided to cut our last day a bit short and head out straight to our final destination on the way back to Tokyo. Fuji Safari Park is a popular location during the holidays, especially with families, and is a great place to check out if you've already rented a car. The entrance operates like a toll road, just pull up to the window and purchase a ticket. Once you've paid, make your way down the one-way road and be prepared to drive at a painfully slow speed for the rest of the experience. In total there's 7 zones, 5 of which specifically feature bears, lions, tigers, cheetahs and elephants. The other 2 are mixed zones where you'll find herbivores and mountain herbivores respectively. We're in bear zone and we just saw 4 bears.
I saw more.
She saw more, but they're all sleeping, so I feel like so far we've seen more cars than bears. But it's okay. It's got kind of a Jurassic Park vibe to it, this place. We're all kind of being funneled into a very narrow passage, and I feel before the day is over there'll be an outbreak, a Jumanji style rampage. We'll have to run for our lives. came out of lion zone, a little bit more action than bear zone. There was probably 30 lions. Some of them were sleeping, some of them were walking around, some of them were up to some hanky-panky, shall we call it. But yeah, not bad. This area is quite nice actually. I think much better than a zoo. I would compare it to more of like a game reserve. Still fences and all that kind of stuff, but it seems to be a lot more freedom for the animals, just, you know, except for all the cars driving through for like 8 hours a day. But what are you going to do, eh? In total, the driving portion of the safari park takes around 1 to 1.5 hours to get through. The route eventually leads to an enormous car park where you can leave your vehicle and check out the rest of the zoo on foot. As I'm almost certain that every single person watching this video doesn't need me to describe to them what a zoo is, let's just finish up with some playful music and a lovely animal montage. So the rain's just approaching now. It feels like a good time to get back in the car, get moving and get back home, which pretty much concludes this weekend of camping. We had a nice idea before we got out of the car. It was pretty damn hot, so we thought we'd leave the futon on the roof to dry. And yeah, it's feeling a bit better. So until the next video guys, catch you later.